So we're looking at the Satson Channel Strip plugin. Now this plugin is inspired by classic gear. It sounds really good. And there's something I really like about this plugin. So we're gonna jump into my DAW. Let's take a look. As you can see, this is a really basic session. And here's what I did. I got the Channel Strip plugin across all tracks. Now let's take a look at this drum loop. So we're gonna bring that up, and what I wanna do, I wanna solo that. Let's take a look at this. So it's a pretty nice Channel Strip plugin. So you have your first section here, which is the gain stage, you have your compressor, and you have your EQ. Now one of the nice things about this, if you wanted to, you can just switch this around. Now we've seen this in other plugins, but I like when plugins have that capability. One of the simple reasons my plugins, my Channel Strip plugins, to flow a certain way. For example, your meter, compressor, EQ. I don't really like it this way. I prefer to do something like this. Your meter, EQ, compression. Just prefer it that way. Now, if you do it this way, your compressor is going to react to all that low end. You don't really want that. Again, there's no rules to this. I prefer to do it this way. Meter, EQ, then compression. And another pretty cool thing, if I wanted to, I can continue to add more modules. So let's get rid of this. Now let's have a little bit of fun and let's play that loop back. On the rest of the tracks, I just have the VU meter on. Now the reason I did this, when I got the session, everything was a little hot, so I kind of had to deal with that. Now let's bring that back to 0. Let's take a listen. Undo. Now why I like to do this, if we take a look at the mixer, everything is pretty much in unity, except this track here. If I kept the levels that high, my faders will be way low, and I don't really want that. So one thing I noticed, other users were asking, can I use these modules independently by themselves? The answer is yes, I'm doing it here. Now, if we go back to my print bus, on my print bus, I have the rough mix that I was given, and I'm gonna play that for you guys really quick. So on my sums track, I have a couple of plugins going on. But I also have this classic compressor that emulates classic gear, and it's giving me that glue. So you have your normal options. You have your amount, your makeup, attack, release, your ratio, your mix, your in, your out. And then you have this option here, which is pretty neat. So it's a high pass filter. So if you don't want something at the bottom to trigger your compressor, you can use this. Check it out. So the compressor is barely moving. For the most part, on the master bus, right away, the kick, the snare, all of that, it's gonna trigger the compressor. But for now, I'm gonna leave it at 0. If I was actually mixing the song, I'm actually hitting this compressor a little too hard. So let's scroll down and let's take a look at the other modules. So let me show you guys how you can use the modules independently. So by default, the plugin's gonna look like this. And what you can do is you can right click a module, you can remove the module, and you can keep the specific module you want. Now I already did this. If we go over here to presets, you have EQ, VU, or classic compressor. The truth is, when you're mixing, you're gonna use a lot of different plugins. So you might wanna just use the EQ or the compressor on that vocal or on that drum, or you might just wanna use the entire channel strip. It's all up to you. So now what I wanna do, let's take a look at this track here. And at the moment, all I have is the VU meter. So what I want to do, I want to bring in the EQ, and let's cut out some of that bottom frequency that we don't need. So I'm not touching anything else within this EQ except the HP, trying to get rid of that bottom end. If we take a listen to the rough, you have a lot of buildup. Let's go back and let's find some of those issues. Now within the VU meter, you also have a high cut and a low cut. Let's take a listen. So it's really simple. Instead of really adding high end, I'm cutting. In the beginning of the video, I showed you the drums. And I was playing around with the EQ. Let's listen back. Pretty neat. So I definitely like this plugin. As you can see, you can separate each individual module, scatter them all over your session. The plugin sounds good. And the price is pretty affordable. Now, you know, when I make these videos, I always tell you guys I love presets. When I'm trying out a new plugin, that's the first thing I like to do. I like to check the presets. The manufacturer is going to have some of the best sounding presets. So that's what I would do. If you're going to work on a kick, use the kick preset. Tweak it, save it, use it for the future. Now, the first module, the gain stage module, if you right-click the meter, you got this fantastic options here. Minus 20 dB, 18 dB, 16, 14, 12. Now you're gonna set that up depending on what you're going for. Now another thing that's extremely important, read the manual. The manual will cover everything you need to know about the plugin. If you're not 100% sure what something does, read the manual. So over here you got this gain compensation option. But if you wanna match levels and do all of that good stuff, that's what you wanna mess around with. Over here you got your high cut, low cut, you have your in, your out. So over here you got this fat option. That's gonna push the harmonics, saturation, you're gonna get all that good stuff. The next module, you have your EQ. You have your bell, you got your EQ in, you have your phase option. If we take the EQ out, automatically says bypass. Pretty cool. Then at the bottom, you have your high pass output, low pass filter. So if we click here, we're gonna have some more options. Add modules, show control values, reamp parameters, GUI scale, oversampling, and about the plugin. So let's talk about the demo limitations. One of the things that are extremely important when you're demoing a piece of software, it's the program's limitations. So what are the limitations? No offline rendering, which honestly I really don't care about. I don't do it anyway. I always print my mixes. No automation, no recall, and optimization. So you have to look out for that. So if this is the first time watching one of my videos, subscribe to the channel, press the bell for future notifications. If you want to talk about what you just saw in this video, post in the bottom. Let's talk about it. Also, don't forget to check the description for useful information. This is Ray, and I'm out of here. Later, guys.